Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Therapeutic Resolutions. If you are here for the first time, welcome. On this platform, we talked about independent providers, and in a broad way, we share educational information and resources for individuals who are interested in becoming an independent provider in healthcare. Either you are already in healthcare providing services or you want to get into healthcare starting or providing a new service. And today we are talking about people who can provide independent provide I'm sorry independent independent work or independent services for the New York City Board of Education. And I have a list of providers who can get approved as an independent provider to provide their services. So, as usual, depends on the video. Since this one is very educational, I have a list to make sure that I don't forget anything or miss any services. I have a list with me to refer to. So if you see me looking down, that is what I'm doing to make sure that I'm giving you all of the information. Before we move forward, I would like to ask that you turn on your notification bell so that you know when I post. I try to post once a week. The date varies. I don't have a set day yet, but I do try to post once a week to bring in information that is related to healthcare and independent provider. So you can do that, and I will move forward. So, who can become an independent provider for the New York City Board of Education? So, we're going to start with mental health. Recently, there are more services that have been added to the list of approved providers, not just independent providers, just providers in general for the Board of Education, which means that the students, the New York City DOE students, are able to receive more services, which is a great thing. So we're starting with mental health. So psychologists, licensed psychologists are one of the mental health providers for New York City who can become independent or provide independent services. Um, Before we move forward, what is independent provider? Maybe I should explain that a bit more, although I do have videos explaining it, but I will try to explain that in every video. So independent providers, there are two types to provide your service as an independent provider. For the most part, in general, however, for New York City Board of Education, that rule still apply. There is two ways to provide independent work as a provider for the New York City Board of Education. One way is to do it through an agency. Sometimes I say the third party agency. So basically, the agency, when contracts from the Board of Education, and their goal is to find therapists and place those therapists in the schools. So it's the agency's responsibility to give you schools or placements to provide that service. And the second option is that you become a sole independent provider, which means there is no agency in between. There's no third party in between. That contract you get, the agency would get from the school, would be eliminated. It would just you would get you wouldn't get the same type of contract, but basically it's called something else. But overall, the relationship is between you and the schools. So no agency in between. So this video is not just talking about one or the other. It's either or, it's both. So this video and the information I'm relating to you has to do with both. The rule applies for both, okay? So what makes you an independent provider? Just that you're not an employee. You're a contractor. You're independent. You go, you provide your service, and you get paid. And your service is whatever the duties that are listed or expected of you when you accept that um, the contract or the placement or yeah, the placement or school, you accept it. And of course you already know what the accept expectations are, or what your duties are. Once you do that, and you complete those, and you get paid, and that's it. So, and there are a lot of responsibilities that comes to you as a W-2 employee that you're not responsible for as a contractor. But we're not going to get into all of that. I have other videos breaking all these other subjects and topics down, but today we solely will focus on sharing with you all of the providers. So, so the first one we mentioned were licensed psychologists, and the second mental health is mental health provider is so we have psychologists, we have I will just say all three. We have psychologists, we have mental health counselor, and then we have a licensed clinical social worker. So under mental health, these are the three providers titles that are listed and are accepted as New York City DOE providers, right? So we said psychologists, mental health counselors, and licensed clinical social worker. Okay, moving on. We have health aide or para. They call them paraprofessionals, and usually they're teacher assistants. They're in the classroom either working with one child or a group of children, or just in the classroom providing assistance to the teacher. And they call them either health aide or para for short, for paraprofessionals. Okay, moving on. Hearing education services. So any professional who assists or supports students with hearing education services. And then we have occupational therapy, which is a related service, and we have um, physical therapy, which is another related service. We have speech therapy, which is another related service. Speech, occupational therapy, physical therapy, I usually say is they're like sisters and brothers because they usually work in close proximity of each other. Oftentimes, when working with clients, they either receive one or more of these three services. So, physical, occupational, and speech therapy. And we have also registered nurse. We do have nurses in the schools. So, that's another provider that can work as an independent provider. We have sign language interpreter. We have, um, let's see. Some of those are listed multiple times. Vision education services. So any professionals who support student with vision education services. We have SETS, which stands for Special Education Teacher Support Services. So they're teachers. So we have teachers on the list. We have um, oral transl- oral transliterator, and I'm gonna read this definition. So an oral transliterator helps deaf or hard of hearing individuals communicate with hearing people by making spoken messages easier to speech read or understand. They may silently repeat spoken words for lip reading or voice the speech of deaf individual for hearing listeners. So that's what oral transliterator means. And then now, so the list I mentioned just a little while ago are for like mostly services, or just for services. Not that they don't. Some of them do evaluations, but um, now I'm going to list providers who are um, approved to assess, to do evaluations. And of course, there are some professions I will repeat again, but from the list before, not all the profession I mentioned are allowed to do evaluations. So, for example, psychological evaluation is done by a psychologist. So, the other mental health therapists, such as the mental health counselor and the licensed clinical social worker, are are only providing services, not evaluations. Um, and then speech therapists, occupational therapists, physical therapists are allowed to do evaluations. We have assistive technology evaluations that can be done by an assistive technology professional. Functional behavior assessments can be done also. And then we have vision evaluation and hearing evaluations. Okay, so I think that's all the list. of who can provide their services as an independent provider for the New York City Board of Education. And this list is only for New York City Board of Education. If you want information regarding your city and state, you would have to refer to your Board of Education in that school to even find out if being an independent provider is a thing. It could be, but every state, every city is different. And if they do, usually the rules may differ, but the steps I provide here um, may be able to guide you to find out the information where you are, even though it's not based on the same city. Um, so I decided to record this video just in case there are people who are interested in becoming an independent provider. I know this video only focus on the list of professionals that can provide services as an independent provider for the New York City Board of Education. And if you are in New York City and you want to provide your services as an independent provider for the Board of Education, and the services are one of the professions I mentioned earlier from that list, then feel free to grab my the ebook guide that I made. It's listed in the description of this video. I have the link there, so and the link to the link tree, but I have the actual direct link if you want a step-by-step guide on how to go about to become New York City Board of Education independent provider. We basically give you play by play, we give you information in terms of rates, we give you the process, how to get started, what you need to do first, what documents you need, who you need to contact, and explain the whole process. So if you need that support, feel free to go grab your ebook from the link on the description. And if you already subscribe to this channel, thank you for being here. And I hope the videos and the information and the resources I'm bringing you is helpful. If you have any question, comments, please share them in the comment section below. And again, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you know when I post. I try to do it once a week. And then that's it for today. And I will see you next week with another video. Have a good one and take care. Until next time.